All right, welcome to Deep Tracks Only with your hosts, Colt Westbrook. Wait, hold on. We should say each other's name. Why don't you say my name and then I'll say your name. With your hosts,
Colt Westbrook
and Philip Hunsicker. Because it feels more humble to announce each other's name, doesn't it?
It
displays what nice people we are. Like, why don't you talk for a couple seconds about how nice I am?
Man, Colt is the nicest.
And I really appreciate that. Thank you for talking about how nice I am. Hey, it's Friday. How you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah, what are you doing this weekend? Are you doing anything good?
I'm going fishing. It's been a minute.
Son of a gun.
That's usually the question whenever you ask me, but it's been too hot. So yeah, I'm going fishing.
And just to clarify for the audience, are you going fishing for fish?
Yes, I am.
What kind of fish?
I'm going fishing for fish.
What kind of fish are we going for?
Well, they're not stocking trout yet, so we're probably just going to go for bass and
we're going to a stock pond?
Yeah, we are. I'm taking a kid. I'm taking a 6-year-old. We got to catch fish.
You going to PetSmart? Is that where you're going to fishing?
Do you hear that?
I can hear you drinking.
Yeah.
I can hear you drinking water. Stock pond, yeah. The only place my kids go fishing is PetSmart. And so we normally don't catch anything because catching something at PetSmart means responsibility. And kids is enough responsibility. We got a really exciting show today. We have one of my favorite guitar players and favorite artists combined in one person on the show today. We have Daniel Donato coming on. And so he's going to be on. We're going to grill him with a couple of questions. You know, whenever we bring an artist on, we're real specific on trying to steer away from gear, right? Because it's easy to get into the gear talk. But we're trying to steer away from gear and sticking around more of the creative process, the humanity of being an artist, and just being a human in general. Because that's really 95% of our time. And we're probably like our job 5% of the time, right?
That's right, yeah.
Philip, why don't you tell them that?
That's right. That's it.
I just needed to drink a cup of coffee. But before we get into that, every show we come up with band names. These are band names. None of these band names are real. None of these bands exist, but they exist in our minds, and they should be band names. And again, these band names are owned by us. And if anybody takes these band names, we will sue. We'll come after you with just a fleet of lawyers, a fleet of suits. And there's a band name right there, Fleet of Suits.
Unless you reach out and ask us.
Fleet of Suits, debut album, Not Guilty, Your Honor.
You got to stick with that one. You don't even get to put
it's not. Yeah, that's not my band name today. Also, if you do want to use it, you just need to email us and ask us, and then the answer will always be yes. So it's a pretty simple legal process, don't you think?
It is. Very
all right.
simple.
So for
DocuSign.
Yeah. So for band names today, Philip Hunsicker, why don't you go first?
I went first last time. How about you go first?
Okay.
You just know you're going to top me, so you want to go second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, great.
Oh, you got it.
Do you want me to go first?
I'm just kidding. I'll go.
All right, go for it.
I have, my band is Beach Waffle.
Okay.
And their album is San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a shtick band.
It's a shtick band. Yeah. They're actually really good though.
Okay.
I mean,
they're actually really good.
Yeah, wasn't Kings of Leon a shtick band at first?
Ooh, it's getting dicey already.
I probably just lied. But
I don't think so.
Yeah, they're a dream pop band.
How is Kings of Leon a shtick band?
I feel like I heard that. They were like joking around, just playing in bars and just like...
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think... I know that Caleb and Nathan were like... They're pretty talented singers.
I'm probably wrong.
Here's how Kings of Leon got a record deal, though, is they were going around just singing to record executives, right? Does that sound like a shtick band to you?
I had no idea.
Yeah, so I think you...
Oh, man. I
think you owe the Kings an apology.
Wow, I'm so sorry, man.
Okay, awesome.
Goodness. They're out on tour with Beach House in the Bahamas right now. So
of course they are.
Go check them out.
So, okay, Beach House and the Bahamas are on tour together?
Yeah.
I think you just kind of looped those together because they're tropical themed. Because I don't think they'd be on tour together.
Listen, they looped it together because they're all tropical themed.
It's the okay.
And they're playing this is their idea. It wasn't on the coast. Yeah.
It sounds like it was the label's idea, or was it the label's idea, or was it their idea?
This was the band's idea, and I think it's because they wanted a vacation on tour because you're going to all the coastal places. So.
A vacation on tour. That's why bands play cruise ships, right? We'll ask Daniel about that. I wonder if he's done a cruise ship tour.
Oh man!
And if he hasn't, can you imagine a Daniel Donato cruise ship tour?
That would be sick.
Oh my gosh. That would be amazing. It's got to be coming up soon.
Yeah, here it comes.
Okay. My band name. Today, I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to go see the Dartboard Selfie Stab.
The Dartboard Selfie Stab.
Listen, I knew it was going to be a reach. It was going to be a reach. So the Dartboard Selfie Stab is what I call like weepy lo-fi thrift store rock. Right?
So specific.
So it's like when you get the mixes back and you're like, oh, it doesn't sound crappy enough. I need it to sound worse. You know, I need to sound like it's more on tape. I need more bathroom reverb.
I would dig this music.
So this is the Dartboard Selfie Stab, and their album is their debut album was called Slumber Party Coffin Factory. So and
I think whenever you come up with your band names or these bands that exist, and in your albums, I think you need to explain because these are.
Well, I feel like some of the best band names, like people try to explain and nobody really lands on it. You know,
right, yeah.
Hey, have you ever seen Radiohead come out and been like, "Oh, here on today's episode, we're going to explain our band name"? You don't do that. Bands don't explain their names. And if they do, it disables the mystery, and then what it does is disconnects the allure and the mystery of the band.
Okay.
And that's half of a band is the mystery.
Man.
Right?
All right. Yeah. I got
Okay.
it.
So the Dartboard Selfie Stab is out on tour with Soccer Mommy. And I'm really excited to go see them play together. All right, let's get to it. Today we got Daniel Donato on the show, so we're going to bring him on in 3, 2, 1. Daniel, he's here. He's in the studio, live. Daniel Donato. That's where we'll play the song that we made for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We'll cut that in.
Fleet of Suits is like it's a picture that has like Stop Making Sense.
Fleet of Suits.
And then it's like, but their album is called Stop Making CENTS. And
There you go.
Like, they're dressed
Stop
like
Making
lawyers.
Sense.
They all have like, they Jerry Seinfeld it, and they have like, Air Max 90s or like Vapor Waves underneath like the Alan Edmonds like 3-piece. I can see it.
You're really good
Oversized
at this
blazers.
game.
I think you just took my.
Stop making sense.
Stop making sense.
CENTS.
You know what I'm saying? From the whole David Byrne, that whole era, that whole aesthetic.
Okay.
That whole.
Dude.
So, yeah, I can see the album name. I can hear them.
Fleet of Suits. Or you could do Flock of Seagulls going on tour of Fleet of Suits. That's one thing, too.
Man, this is really great. So I think we need to bring you on just as a house member all the time. Would you just kind of co-host with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so Daniel, do you know where you are? Do you know what city you're in?
We are in an abbreviated state of existence, OKC.
Yes.
So it's like OK, comma, C.
Yeah.
Yeah,
OKC. Okay, and have you seen OK so far?
So
have you OKC'd?
We don't really get. There's a lot of luxuries that become available on tour as you start to progress at scale. And one of those is time.
Yeah.
And where we are right now is like, we don't have that luxury as much as we'd like to. So we essentially play a city. We get there an hour before we sound check.
Okay.
And then we load in.
Yeah.
And then we play. And then we pack it all back up. And then we go to sleep in the hotel for like 30 minutes. And then we're on the road for the next one. But I would hope next time we're here, I get here in the morning and then walk around and see. But right now, it's very rare to have time to spend to go see.
Yeah.
OKC.
So this studio is OKC for you. This road go round.
Is what I heard about.
Yeah. Okay. Great. This is the only thing I know.
It's a business park. I
that
like
and
it.
the Thunder. The Oklahoma City. Is the Thunder open tonight?
So y'all are on the road all night. Are you able to sleep in the van? Is it like good sleep, or is it?
No, sleeping in the vans is not good sleep. You shouldn't lie to yourself and tell you that it's good. It's not good.
Who's
Not
driving
good.
the van?
Joe insists on driving the van.
Dude, I love Joe.
I love Joe.
I'm a big Joe fan already.
He's from Jersey.
Joe's the tour manager, by the way.
Right.
We actually
listeners.
evolved it to road manager. I thought it was tour manager too. And if you philosophize on it in a certain way, tour is a segment of what is the road.
Oh.
The road is a lot of things.
Okay.
And the road it's a marvelous dance of chaos and order. And there can be so much chaos that ensues. And the road manager needs to be the guy that, or the girl or whatever that, knows how to handle that situation and keep everyone calm. That's a big one. But Joe drives. Joe insists on driving.
Yeah.
I don't drive.
Yeah. How do you find, so there's a lot of people listening to the podcast that, that probably want to break out of, probably the local scene and then book a tour. How do you find like a trusty road manager? How do you do that? Because it's one of those things, it's like somebody says they're really great at it, but you don't know unless they're recommended to you by somebody or they work for a label, or it's like you trust their integrity. I mean, there's a lot of check boxes when you start putting your life into someone else's hands. How do you come across that? How do you do that? I
met Joe during COVID when I was playing at Roberts.
Yeah.
And there was a period of, I don't even know how many months it was, of not leaving the house and just writing songs and demoing. And Nashville had set up, some of the venues in Nashville had set up the opportunity for musicians to go and play. Even though tourism wasn't really a thing at the time. And I was playing down at Roberts, where I was playing for all those years, where we had met.
Yeah.
And Joe came in one day. It was like a Wednesday. It was like 2 p.m. There was like 7 people in there, and it's like a bunch of Harley Davidson shirts and like white New Balance shoes and like,
I know those.
Leather vests
So
that
glad
like
I'm not wearing
with
mine
like
right
the
now.
bald eagle and like,
Yeah.
and then Joe comes in with like a Relics magazine, like tie-dyed shirt. And he had these like Lazy Lightning Grateful Dead earrings on. I was like, I love this guy, you know? And we just kept in touch and we became really good friends.
Yeah.
And 2022 was coming into fruition in terms of our touring schedule, like late in Q4 of like 2021. And I was starting to see that we were going to have over 150 shows this year. And I need to find someone, because we're starting to build and we're starting to have continuity and consistency within our work schedule and our playing schedule. And I want to find a guy, that I love and that is my friend. And this is more philosophical, but I'm just like, well, what does my intuition say? And the first thing that came to my mind was Joe. And this is the thing too of like, I'm sure you observe it in leadership, is sometimes the people for the job, unless it's something that's engineering and that requires an actual pretense of knowledge, if it's more of an experiential personality-based role, it's really about just finding the right person. There's no physics really involved in like being a road manager. And I just asked Joe if he wanted to do it, and he was thrilled.
Yeah.
And we've had like less than 15 days off in 8 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And we don't get sick of each other. We have moments of everyone being stressed and things being chaotic and all that. Of course. But everyone in the crew, it's like, for pretty much, I think everyone except Will, this is their first time like intensely touring.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. It's thumbs up so far.
It's thumbs up.
Okay.
Yes.
And mostly because of OKC.
Mostly.
So it's interesting that you say that about the pretense of knowledge required to do a job. Like I do find a lot of value in, I call it wisdom and cleverness.
Yeah.
So like I really, when I look into partner with people, I'm looking for wise people that have wisdom, not knowledge. It's like some people are smart at the wazoo, but it's like, I don't want to get in the car with those people sometimes, because there's a lack of wisdom. And then cleverness also. It's like, how can you work your way around the roadblocks of the world in a non-disruptive manner, So that's the kind of people, here at the Walrus that we're always trying to support and employ and build ourselves around. Knowledge is really cool sometimes.
Yeah.
When it answers questions, but partnering with wise people and clever people, that's the long road.
That is the long road.
That's the ticket to the long road.
Yeah, and the long road, as far as I'm concerned, is the only road there is, despite what all the algorithms are trying to push into our iPhone screens and our Android screens. All these, learn 5 licks fast, or, how to get rich quick, or, how to lose 30 pounds with keto, or whatever it is.
The 10 riffs to learn to start doing sessions.
It's not cool. It's not right. It doesn't work that way. And especially if you're an anxious, neurotic child like I was learning. It was like you start to think that there's a wrong way to do things. And the thing with music is that it's such an abstraction at all points in time that when something's wrong, that's not a definitive, absolutist,
right,
concrete resolution.
Yeah.
It's not, and so there's a lot of right ways to do things, and that's where cleverness comes in. That's where openness.
Do you have an example of what you just said? I think that's really interesting.
The long road versus the short road?
No, something that's wrong. That might not be wrong.
That's where personality comes in. It's like you could listen to a lot of Jerry Garcia recordings, like in the late 80s, like 89. And when he started integrating the synthesizer hardware into his rig.
Uh-huh.
And they've been playing some songs, for 10 years at that point, that he would go and throw this MIDI horn sound on.
Yeah.
And you listen to that, and you've heard the antiquated initial statement of that song. You're like, that's cool. It's a twin reverb head into a nice Macintosh Pre, and it sounds great, and it's like, it's clean, and it's gorgeous. It's angelic and siren and feminine, and it's marvelous. But then he throws a synthesizer on, and it's like, well, it's not wrong, but it's different.
Uh-huh.
And my youngest sister has autism, Naomi, and she's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's the whole ethos. When therapists are communicating with families that have someone in their family that has autism, is that it's not a better or worse dichotomy. It's simply an observation on difference.
Uh-huh.
And so I would say those two examples are pretty interesting to observe. And then if you look at it that way, it's like very few things are wrong. Only the things that are like morally very, we all agree in society are wrong. Those are the wrong things. And when you start getting into music,
Like murder.
murdering of humans is not good.
Yeah.
Trafficking of humans is not good.
No.
But there's a great book I would recommend people get into, which is Effortless Mastery. Kenny Warner, Warner. He now teaches at Berkeley. But he put out this book that talks about his whole experience that he had with music on, watching Bill Evans, seeing him in New York and just blowing his mind the first time he ever played piano, and how much he loved it. And when he was a kid, he was practicing it 12 hours a day, and he loved it. And it was this gorgeous thing. And then he starts getting older, and your mind changes. The neurological circuitry of your mind evolves as you get older, and what you're afraid of starts to become more into fruition, and you stop playing less, as an adult, because you have more responsibilities. And it only makes sense that the overtones of rightful responsibility fears start to bleed its way into this playful, muse-filled realm of music.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how can you incorporate and integrate ideas that maintain that fruitful, free state?
Right.
And he shares on that meditation practices, and then stories on how to practice and methods on how he likes to practice. And one of the main philosophies that I think really carries this whole book along is that, and this relates to Bob Ross, which is, I love Bob Ross, is really mistakes they're not absolutely correct. They really are just what you think. It's your single side of that MC Escher shape that is reality. Philip could think something sounded great. Like, remember when we went to Red Rocks and watched Fleet of Suits? We were on we took all those mushrooms.
Yeah.
And you were like, God, I really wish they weren't wearing those joggers right now.
Dude.
And I was like, hey, I think they look good.
Right.
I think they look good.
Killed it for me.
And it was, so, even though I think he's wrong, he thought he was right. So.
Yeah, but it makes the whole thing. So that's an interesting question. So as an artist, I feel like there is this pull. So for starting out artists, there is this pull.
Interesting that you say starting out. I think you're always starting out.
Okay,
in some way.
That's another question.
Yeah.
But there is this pull to stay safe, to de-risk it.
Exploit.
Like,
versus explore.
I want to de-risk my art. What did you just say?
It's a whole psychological dichotomy that we participate in all the time. It's explore versus exploit.
Right.
And we make decisions based on that all day.
Like, it's easier to do like sitting with my girl in the back of my truck, and we're drinking a 6-pack, watching the sunset.
I don't give a.
Yeah.
Right.
That would have. Yeah. That would have how to end.
Yeah. Leave in the comment. What word we rhyme with, please.
I was born in the country, gonna stay here my whole life.
Please
do a podcast and just making up country songs.
Dude, yeah.
So that's really easy, right? And here's the deal.
Not only that,
well, the three of us could get in a room where we could go slam down like 6 songs and go make some money. But so where you come in is for sure like a step sideways. Like I kind of I look at your career as kind of as a mirror or like an echo of like somebody like Stevie Ray Vaughan in the 80s making blues. It's like, hey man, no one's making blues right now, dude. He's like, well, these cats are. It's like, well, we don't know who these people are. Blues is back there. And it's like, we're doing different stuff right now. And he's like, I'm doing this thing called Texas Flood. And then everybody's like, I'm sorry, you were right. So that's where I feel like you fall right now. It is kind of a step sideways, and there are some influences that are giants for sure in the industry, but it is exactly what you say. It is, your art is very explore. And I think that's really refreshing to a lot of people. So anyway, just congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
But how do you feel safe in that? Like, how do you, what's that like?
Safety within playing?
How do you feel safe in taking the non-safe route for a musical career?
Or do you see it that way?
You could play in lots of places. Like you've got the technical proficiency, you've got the tone, you've got the chops. You can go make money lots of other places. But how did you derive it at what you're doing here in Oklahoma City today? That is
it's a long and winding road, especially when you grew up in Nashville. There's certain archetypes that you're like prescribed to fit into.
Yeah, especially for somebody who's logged plenty of hours at Roberts. You know,
a lot of hours on Broadway, and you know, everyone who plays down there, they're like, "Oh, it's great." You know, you'll play here, and then you'll go on the road with Shania Twain or just like a modern country act. You know, that you go play county fairs and you have a digital rig, you have in-ears, and that's cool. Like,
and not there's anything wrong with that.
There's not. It's not. But it wasn't for me.
But there's pluses and minuses to everything. You know,
that's like I think that's a big responsibility. Like if you're playing in music and you're wanting to do that as a career and you're seeing that is happening in your life, you have a responsibility to stay transparent with yourself and see who you really are and what you can be.
Yeah.
And I just always have been myself and I can't not be. And growing up, that was not easy. It was really like, even still today, like I am painfully myself.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. And that's fine. I just don't have an ability to turn it off because it exists in a level of my mind that I think is probably older than me. You know, it's just like built in. I'm just going to be me. My personality is going to be on. Yeah. And so I think I was like 23 when I was like, you know, I'm just going to be the best me I can be.
And do you feel like nobody liked you when you were 23?
I just was not getting. I would get gigs, and I wasn't fitting in on the bus.
Yeah.
With people, I wasn't a hang, and I wasn't listening to the same music they were listening to, and I just wasn't. I tried my hand at co-writing modern country songs. You go sit in a cubicle on Music Row, and you get there at 9:45, and you guys start at 10, and you've never met this person before, or maybe you have, and it's like. You know, I'm strumming out a D chord and the guy's like on his phone. He's like, yeah, man, that's great. It's awesome.
So it's like you just go in a room with an artist and then you just write songs.
Sometimes it's not even an artist. Sometimes it's terrible. I had a publisher meeting once and he was like, yeah, you have 2 weeks of lunchbox sessions coming up. Like,
that's every day.
I'm like, what's a lunchbox session?
Yeah, what's a lunchbox session?
Well, this is when I knew I wasn't going to be a publishing full-time songwriter. That's not what I wanted to do. He was like, yeah, you know, you just bring your lunchbox every day and I'll just send you anywhere you go and you just write. Yeah. It was like, that just doesn't seem like it doesn't satiate the muse. And what I think that is born from is when you're in a city that has a necessity to produce a lot of content for an industry, is that you can't help but organize roles into a functioning hierarchy and tribe. You need writers, you need publishers, you need artists, you need guitar players, you know, and you need all those people, and that's totally cool. But if you don't fit into one of those molds and you live in Nashville, it's a weird place to be. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword, and I wasn't aware of that. And then something clicked in my mind where I think it was a Sturgill Simpson interview. He was like, if you live in Nashville, don't play in Nashville. Get a van and go tour everywhere else until you come home and you sell out Nashville.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love that. And it took me a while to realize that there was a world outside of Nashville. And when you look outside of the domain of comfort, the exploited area of your home turf, you can see that there is an entire country and a world that is ready for you to explore. And it pays to explore.
Yeah.
It does. It pays to explore, especially if you have the right vision in mind and you're not trying to take any shortcuts and just build things the right way. Like this centricity to our listeners and people that are within our community. That's all I care about. And so I go to Nashville and I live in Nashville and I hang out there, but I don't really make music that sounds like it's like being written on Music Row. And I'm totally fine with that. It's totally
no kidding.
a cool trip.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But I love it there. It's a marvelous city, man. Like, you can move there and be a full-time writer. You can move there and be an artist that has a great band behind you that's backing you. And you can be a manager. You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
But for me, the road was very nonlinear, and it still is. And I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also begs the question, are you playing Nashville on this tour?
We're ending. We have 2 shows. We did Bonnaroo.
Okay, great.
Which was fitting for us.
Congratulations.
And then we're doing Live on the Green, which is Lightning 100, which is our local hero station of music. And
Say it again?
Live on the Green, Lightning 100.
Okay.
They have a festival that they put on, and we're playing that this year. And then we're doing the Cosmic Country Christmas Jam.
Explode that out for me, because it sounds like a place that we all need to be at.
It's fun.
The Cosmic Country Christmas Jam.
I really would love if we could one day do it and Will Ferrell's there, dressed as Buddy the Elf.
This sounds...
But not this year. We don't have the budget.
Yeah, so paint the picture for the Cosmic Country Christmas Jam.
That's community, you know?
What is that?
Christmas is interesting. It's a gathering of communities of different intimacies, right? You start with your friends and your business associates, then you get to the in-laws, and then you just eventually boil it down to everyone that lives in the house. So we're starting at that big third tier of like everyone's friends and family and community coming into a show. Yeah. And so it's my friends that live in Nashville, or they're flying in to play the show, and Easton, who's on the Cosmic Country crew.
So this is a your event. This is your produced event that you're talking about.
Cosmic Country.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cosmic Country. That's the idea. Was I was 23. I'm like,
do you have that trademark?
I got it. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's at the USPTO, baby. Look it up. You can't have it.
I think the whole idea is like what you're doing is, I think you essentially build your own world. I think the world comes from you, not at you. And if you think about it in a way, you're building your own world at all times. And in this, if you look at humans and how long we've been alive, we are all born into this episode of where you can, and this might come off in the wrong way, but you essentially, what is a brand? You know, it's essentially a reputation, it's a community, and you have services or products, right? And that might be a naive way to compress it all. But I was like, I just want to build my own world and exist in my own world.
Right.
And I'm doing that anyway. And I want to do that in a way that fits to me and my personality the best way I can, and surround myself with the people that I love and work best with and bring the best out of me. And that's the whole ethos of how Cosmic Country came about in my life. And that's still the trip we're on. And so that's how we are in OKC on this nice, somewhat velvet-like couch.
Yeah. You know, speaking of OKC, the whole thing just reminds me of a band that did that so well and still consistently does it exceedingly well.
Fleet of Suits? Fleet of Suits?
No, I was going to say...
I was coming back.
No. I was going to say Flaming Lips.
Yes.
So, you know...
Warner Brothers.
So Wayne and the rest of the band they have done... Well, first they did a stupendous job exploring, you know, early on. And then kept doing that with minimal people attending the shows, right?
That's the price to pay at first.
But now, I mean, the shows are, you know, an hour to an hour and a half long, and they're only playing like 8 or 9 songs, right?
Yeah.
Because they all take a long time, and there's so much else going on at these shows.
It's an experience.
It is an experience, and it never gets old. It's always like, this is this is I think I watched them play ACL, and they played. I've been to a few if you're in Oklahoma City, you've already been to a million Flaming Lips shows. But one of my favorite ones was at Austin City Limits. They played for an hour, and I think they played 5 songs. They only got to 5 songs, but they all took so long. And then they're just taking time to just do other stuff. You know, I remember there was like. There's probably like 50 Christmas elves on stage.
Oh, the production,
and it was just,
right?
it was just like, I mean, it was amazing.
That's what you do for festivals. Yeah.
And it's just, you're creating your whole world. So
yes.
then, and I think after them played Franz Ferdinand, and it's kind of like, dang, which all due respect to Franz Ferdinand, but if you're going to have the Lips play, I mean, have them just close.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, because after that, no one has any energy left, you know? It's just like, man, it was amazing.
There's been shows here where everybody that goes to the show, and it'll be in like the big dome downtown, just in like the event center, they'll give everybody a laser to like point at them. Yeah. I mean, that's just like,
you know what I'm sad we missed?
Cool.
You know, they did I think this was like maybe 10 years ago, but I really wanted to go, but it was the 24-hour show where they played 24 hours.
Oh.
So they played 20 songs.
Well, I think, a lot of it was like, you know, droning noise, you know, a lot of production, things like that, but it was a 24-hour concert. So that would be amazing. I'm excited for the Cosmic Country 24-hour show.
Yeah.
Daniel is too, man.
It's like, that reminds me, I think maybe they took that from Big Cypress and Fish, that concept.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was just talking about Fish with a guy at lunch today, and he flew to Red Rocks to go see Primus.
Oh, yeah, Primus.
To go see Primus. And so then we were kind of creating this list of bands that, one, don't have a large group of fans, but the fans are so loyal and so committed that, I mean, they keep these people in business. You know, it's the people that will not just go to one Fish show, they'll go to 6 Fish shows, you know, all along tour. And same with Primus, same with Flaming Lips, same with Daniel Donato, all those kind of things.
That's a real thing.
It is.
That's a real thing that happens in the music, because within the music business, it seems that there are several businesses that are happening. It's not just one.
Right.
You know,
explode that out.
It can be. There's also different roofs and ceilings of success, but if you go on Fish's Spotify, they don't even have 1 million monthly listeners, but they did 13 shows at Madison Square Garden. I think 7 of which were sold out.
Wow.
It's like, and you're going to tell me like the guy who lived in the apartment next to me who like posted a viral song on TikTok has like 2 million monthly listeners. Then he plays in Nashville and he can't sell 30 tickets.
Right.
So we live in a very strange time of like the numbers that we see aren't what we think they mean.
Right.
You know, and so.
Will you say that slower? Will you say that again? The numbers?
The numbers that we see aren't what we think that they mean.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
That is good.
You know, that's real.
That's the name of the episode.
Nice.
Oh, that is, man,
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
So a great example would be, being able to sell out Madison Square Gardens without a lot of monthly listeners from Spotify. And I doubt anybody that goes to those Fish shows has actually put in a Fish record in the last 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah, they're really like.
So it's not like a band that you feel like, oh, I'm going to listen to them on my way to work. I mean, it's like an investment, you know? It's like you got to get in the.
I think it really is fascinating. Like, I don't get how there's many different models. Like, you know, there's some where it's like you write a record and none of the songs are played live before the record comes out. Uh-huh. And then you go on this big tour that the record label pays for, and then you go and recoup all the funds for the tour. And like, that's one way to do it. But there's this more antiquated analog model of just hitting the road and providing the service and the transcendent experience each night. And you build a community around that effort and that vision and that consistency.
Yeah.
And I love that one.
That's beautiful.
I love that one because you can do that one forever.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
You know who else from Oklahoma does that really well? Hanson.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Oh yeah.
You remember Hanson?
Yeah.
So they're from Tulsa.
Yeah.
You know, did you know that? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I like JJ Cale though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he's we'll do another podcast about JJ Cale.
Yeah.
But
so can we for another band names, you know.
Yeah, what?
like JJ Cale. And then it's like
But it's a tribute. Would it be a tribute band?
No. Not at all. He's actually like
Australian Pink Floyd?
He's like really mad. He's like, "No, I'm not JJ Cale. I'm JJ Cale." And it's like, And he's super healthy, like doesn't sing about any drugs like JJ Cale did. Not to derail.
Everybody was talking about Cale, in the early 2000s, and I think it was like the early 2000s,
like 2009, 10, 11.
Yeah, that's when it started getting cool. And I got married in 2008, and then we started hearing about Cale. And I think I had it like at a restaurant once, and it was amazing. And so my wife and I, we went to Target and bought Cale and just took it home, and like we cut it up and put ranch on it.
Oh man.
I just thought it was a leaf that you just eat in a salad.
Man.
Bro, that was not the way to eat Cale.
I could see the headline.
I mean, that was not the way to do Cale.
I could see it like local married OKC man tries Cale raw with ranch.
Right. I mean, it's an Onion article.
Oh, that's great.
Cale not as great right out of the store as expected. That's my other dream job, is to write
or just with ranch.
Onion headlines.
I love, my favorite Onion one was like, it was like single man in Subaru drives around Burger King one more time just to see if it's still open. It was like, they're so relatable. It's like, yes.
It's people living their real lives, and something happens, like, oh my gosh, that's okay. I got to write that down for work.
Yeah.
It is really great. we should do a whole episode about our favorite Onion articles. Okay, last question before we get out of here, because I know you got to go sound check and get on the road. Right, John?
Joe.
Right, Joe? He's in the studio here. Actually, Daniel's whole band is in the studio, but we haven't heard him because they've just been sleeping probably.
I told him to go into another room and be quiet.
Okay, that sounds good. Dude, you're a really good leader. That's what I tell people at work all the time. Just go in another room. Just be quiet.
Just be quiet. I want to hear you soldering. I don't want to hear anything else.
It's all great.
I want to hear that solder.
Yeah.
So I think obviously the number one thing that inspires us to make music is music, right? That's the number one thing that inspires, us to make guitar pedals is music. And then you hear other music, and it really just pushes you to make other music. But what else inspires you to make music? Think something that's not music.
So I don't know the difference between life and music.
Yeah.
And I've been playing music a long time, every day.
Yeah.
And as I get into it more and more, I start to have a hard time seeing the difference. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing. And it's like the patterns in which stories are told, such as like Harry Potter or The Lion King, is the same pattern that would be of a 1-5-6 minor 4.
Yeah.
And because you think about a story of life, right? So I start my life in a place of normalcy. Where I'm born, where I
really
live.
like how you picked like the 1-5-6 minor 4.
Well, the 1-5-6 minor 4 is like the most.
That's the weepy. That's the one. I mean, doesn't every band has to have?
I know
the one. Do you have a 1-6?
Not yet. I'm writing one right now.
It's got to happen at the right time. I feel like it's a sophomore album or it's like a senior album. I mean, it's
senior. Yeah.
Is that
probably like a bachelor's degree album?
It is. It's like, all right, I think I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
But there's this thing that happened. Like, so the 1, that's the place of home. That's the place of normalcy. That's the tonic. That's the place of the least amount of tension. Then you have the 5.
The rise.
The rise is the dominant.
The denouement.
Yes.
It's
the thing that leads you out of home. And then you have 6 minor, which is darkness. You're being tried. You have things that are happening in your life.
6 minor.
6 minor.
And then 4. Take us there.
4. We've conquered. There's hope. There's a new hope.
Yes.
And then you're back to the 1.
Kind of just crying thinking about it. Oh my God.
No, that's what I'm saying. These are the things I think about. Like, so I think like if you think of it, and I don't think we're aware of that when we hear the chord progressions in that way. I don't think we're verbalizing that to ourselves, but I do think there's a part of our unconscious that understands the tension and release in the physics of music and how that is very similar to the tension and release of physics of life. And I have a hard time differentiating the two. I really do. Because so many things are poetic and so many things have timbre and so many tones remind me of melodies. And why is there a constant stream of music in my head that I'm always hearing? I just don't know the difference between the two things. But, everything inspires me. Even just getting 3 hours of sleep and then waking up and just hearing ba ba da ba da boo da ba da ba 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 da, like in the shower, like anything.
Yep.
I try to not draw too many lines.
Yeah. I wish, and I talk about this a lot with people, but I wish I could experience like a chord progression like that without knowing what's going on, without they're doing the the
not
1
knowing
5
the
the 6
theory
minor
behind
to the
it,
4, and of course they're going to pull that trick, but like almost like I wish I could remove myself from like understanding something like that and experience, because then those adjectives that we were riffing about, kind of joking about, but kind of talking about seriously, like the tonic, safety, the rise, the sadness, and then the hope, to where those emotions are more easily accessible in music, which is why I like to read sci-fi. A lot of the time, because I don't know what it's like to write a novel. And I'm sure novelists are like going, like reading books and like, oh yeah, he did the thing here with the character reappears. And and they have all the tricks down, but I don't know what those tricks are. So I think it's important, especially for musicians, to be able to consume art that's not music. I remember I was, making some instrumental music for like a local filmmaker about a basketball coach. And I know everyone's watched the documentary that I'm talking about, / nobody has.
The Last Dance with music by Colt Westbrook.
Yeah, exactly. No, it wasn't that. And
is it called like The Lockout?
It was taken
on Spotify?
No, it wasn't that either. You haven't heard this. No, nobody has. Because I don't even think they used it. Because he was like, I was late.
Oh, no.
I was late on turning it in, and he's like, "Well, just give me a preview. What's it sound like?" And I was like, "I don't know what it says. It sounds like a Cormac McCarthy novel." And he's like, "I don't think I can use that." And I was like, "Just give me a week. I could fix it." But it sounds like Hunt for Red October.
But that's intense. I love that.
But that's, I think it's important for musicians to be able to find reprieve, rest, solace in like other art forms.
Yes.
Because, and I think that helps exactly what you're talking about, what you started with, explore versus exploit.
I watch Bob Ross every night before I go to sleep.
Wow.
I either listen to Alan Watts or I watch Bob Ross. I love art. I love Kandinsky. I love Matisse. I love Van Gogh.
Yeah.
And like, especially Kandinsky. Because like I think it was like 1908, he published this book on art and the spirituality of the artist. And Matisse he says it best, where it's like the job of the artist is to see things new every day.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. That's where I said earlier, where I kind of objected for a second, where it was like a new artist. Like, I think if you really are trying your best to see the full scope and bandwidth of what the endeavor is that you're immersing yourself into, it's like, it has to be new every day. It has to be a dance. Because when things aren't new every day, that's when the routine of the non-creative work starts to come in. And that's what you got to have that. You got to, like, for me, like, I got to run scales. I got to have like my right hand techniques and my warm-ups and learn new voicings and just have all the athletic side of it covered. But there needs to be a newness. There needs to be a dance. There needs to be a playfulness. And that's what play is. Even like neurologically, like the play circuit we have in our mind, like that is, things are new. Like Bob Saget said, when you're having a good time, there is no time. It's like, it's for real. So if you can't play, then you got to find a way to get there, And
So, I love that. And it's almost like, I feel like either if you're an artist, a professional, like an entrepreneur, anything.
I like how it's artist.
Well, I'm just listing out. I'm just listing out stuff.
Literally anything. I think that's
you're an artist,
a meteorologist,
an adult,
a urologist,
anything. I think there is this search. What'd you say?
Like a meteorologist.
Meteorologist.
Like, he works out. It's amazing.
That's so.
That would be Damon Lane. He works out. He's the in Oklahoma City. The rock stars are the meteorologists. So you've got Damon Lane. Oh yeah, the rock stars of the city. You got Damon Lane. You got David Payne. You got Emily Sutton. Lacey Swope.
Wait, do David Lane and David Payne definitely get together in
Jed
OKC
Castles.
Square and like Joe Rogan commentates on the fight, right?
Dude,
and it's like Lane versus Payne, OKC. Like,
well, it is, and there is some loyalty around here about which weather person you listen to, and rightfully so, because in tornado season it's life or death for a lot of people. So it's like, it's like, hey, it's coming in the southwest corridor of Moore. You need to, and if this person's covering that and that person's not, and usually they're all doing a pretty good job. I just want to say thank you to all the meteorologists in Oklahoma City, except for, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, back to it. Whether you're a meteorologist or an artist or something, there is this path that you're wanting to take. Like you're searching for the "I've arrived" chapter.
It's not there,
right?
Yeah.
And I would also argue it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
And if you think it exists, you lose.
Yeah, you're not looking at as the game that it really is. I think in some way, and I don't really know what it really is, but. I am pretty sure that until the dying breath of your existence, you're not done changing.
Yeah.
Especially just on a physical level. Like, think of all the cells that if we were just to zoom in right now and fade to the screen, and we would see like absolute like Game of Thrones murder in the cells going on in our body. Just like,
glad you said that. Bring out the black light.
You're constantly changing. So why would you think you would ever arrive at an identity and or state of career that is one of solitude? Like, at any state of your existence, on any hour, any minute of any given day, there is absolute chaos and order happening in your life. Like, I guarantee you there is something that you are just very stressed and unsatiated with right now.
Yeah.
And then you're also very excited to go see your kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the way life, I feel like, always has been, always will, and is. And I don't ever want to arrive at a place because I don't think that that's the goal. I definitely have goals, but if you really have a vision, that's a moving target that moves into the infinity of the cosmos forever.
Yeah.
And that's really that's where my frequency is set at. It's like, I don't think you arrive.
Which brings us into the thesis behind Cosmic Country.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, dude, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. I know it's like tour's super packed, so I just appreciate you taking a couple seconds and sitting in with us, man.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want us to close with basically you giving us your LinkedIn or your Linktree page. If people want to learn more about you and listen and absorb more of the absolute top shelf content you're putting out, where do you send them? Where do they go? Cosmic Country on Google. That'll bring you to my website. Google that stuff, baby. Or DuckDuckGo. Or if you're a VPN user, you can still Google it. It'll work. My Instagram's on there. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, podcast, everything. Tour schedule. Okay. It's all on there. Cosmic Country. Awesome. All right. Go check out Daniel Donato. And if you think about it, go thank Road Manager Joe. Thanks for letting us be here, Joe. All right. Cool. I love it. Thank you, guys. All right. That's awesome. See you next time. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, guys.